of the fact that you feel sorry is not, or I feel sorry doesn't do anything.
I thought sorry was a good introduction to correcting said amends, let's say. So you're saying wipe it?
It would just eliminate sorry from the lexicon. We've been programmed in such a way to assume sorry is meaningful for the person who does it. Sorry is meant to be meaningful for the person who receives it. Welcome to the In Search of More podcast. I am your host, Eli Nash. Join me weekly on my quest for more from myself and more from this world. We'll see you on the other side. Ryan, how did the topics come about for these episodes?
I don't even know. I'm not even sure. Back of your mind?
Front of my mind, actually.
Front of your mind?
Front of my mind. Yeah, I think it's, I'm not either sure. Because I'll tell you, I'm not 100% sure. Because if we recorded this yesterday, our conversations would definitely be different. So on some level, it's the moment, for sure.
Right.
It's the moment. But I do make notes sometimes after certain experiences and say, hey, like this experience had an effect on me. I mean, the world's always communicating and some messages land and there's this thud when it lands. Say, hey, maybe there are a couple of other people who could hear this as well. So this is a point I've mentioned in the past. Maybe you've heard it from me, is that sorry should be a bad word.
No, what does that mean? Sorry is a good word. In
the 12 steps, they call it making amends, for example. So the 9th step, we've spoken about this, right? Where we once used the 12 steps to kind of break down what the work is. And obviously all disciplines will kind of circle to the same place. But one of the points is that we got to get rid of, in religion they'll call it, we got to remove sin. In the 12 steps they'll call it making amends. In Judaism they'll call it tshuva in some way, which means to return, right? Or maybe another way of saying to return, to realign oneself. And I heard this in the 12 steps before, so that's not the emphasis for this thought. And the idea in the 12 steps, one of my sponsors told me, was when you're going through that process of making amends, right? The 9th step reads, may direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. Direct amends means I made amends directly to that person, as opposed to more global amends.
Right.
I'm not going to do this again, for example. So amends means to repair, to fix.
Right,
so if we came to someone, right my wrong. If I came to someone and said, I want to make amends for what I did, sorry, like there would be no place for sorry. Like, I don't give a shit if you're sorry. What difference does it make to me if you're sorry? You're sorry. Okay, good. Congratulations. You feel better now that you're sorry? Like, what is it doing for you now that you're sorry?
So you're saying, and I hear this, right? And I'm going to let you unpack it a bit, because I thought sorry was a good introduction to correcting said amends, let's say. So you're saying wipe it, or you're saying like...
Right, I'm saying that if I was, if there were a few things I can change in society, I'm not saying this is the number one, it would just eliminate sorry from the lexicon.
Really? Yeah, you got to unpack that for me. Speak on it.
Well, when I say eliminate it, meaning that for that to be the way we address things, for someone to say, hey, I'm sorry about what happened yesterday. Okay, I mean, you could have told that to yourself in the mirror. That has nothing to do with me, the fact that you're sorry. Do you feel better now that you're sorry? I mean, do you not feel... I don't know, how long do you have to be sorry for in order for this to work for me? When did you start? When did you end? Did you really mean it? It's like this whole thing it's not a relevant discussion, but we say it, and then the person who hears it is now meant to be okay with the person who said it, but they're often not. But they have to pretend to be, because society said this is enough. The person said, I'm sorry. Why are you still holding on to it? They said they're sorry. It doesn't do anything.
You're saying sorry is not a way of making amends. Making amends is making amends, and there's no in between.
I mean, you tell me, in what situation would, if someone said, I guess theoretically it could be, you go to someone and say, hey, I did this wrong and I want to make it right. And the person said to you, Ryan, I would like you to meditate on how sorry you feel over that for the next 5 minutes. I just want you to feel sorry about that. Then I suppose that could do something for the person. They asked for it and now it's being done. But in general, the fact that you feel sorry is not, or I feel sorry doesn't do anything. But I'll tell you what came to me. So there was if I find out someone is upset at me or had beef with me or something like that, if it's not current, if it's not present, if there's, meaning I'm not saying if it's not, sometimes current and present is handled a different way, but let's say I know that I did something incorrectly to someone years ago, or they feel a certain way about something, genuinely so, then I'll make a phone call and have a conversation. I started my business at 19, and in one of my first years of working, there was a guy who worked for me who I thought, I don't remember the exact details, but I thought had stolen from me. I confronted them about it. Turned out to be incorrect, but I only learned that months later, and it was more of an office politic thing that they wanted to. Another employee wanted me to believe that that was the case. Be that as it may, years passed. It didn't occur to me much then how it may have affected the other person, but over the last few years, as I've become more sensitive to people's experiences and how things can affect someone long term, these kind of experiences would weigh on me a little bit and say, okay, I got to reach out. And so I did. And I reached out and I said, I want to be clear, I'm not calling to say I'm sorry, because I don't say I'm sorry. I don't think it's a relevant terminology. I just have this memory. I don't remember all the details, but I have this memory of falsely accusing you of stealing. And I thought to make it right. So what was different about this conversation was there was no way he thought of like me making it right. So I asked that question.
There wasn't a way that you could have made it right?
I asked the question a few times, right? Is there a way that I can make it right? And not really. It happened a long time ago. But what was clear was how angry they still were about it. And one of the things that he said as well was, sometimes seeing this and seeing me in this light, which suggests that I'm putting a microphone in front of me, which would suggest that I believe that I have something of value to share. That's why I'm doing this. I'm putting a camera in front of me. I'm putting a microphone in front of me, and I'm saying that my experiences have brought me to a place that I believe I have something of value to share, that if someone else were to absorb what it is that I was saying, their life would be better off as a result. That's right. My belief. But understanding that this person has this 20-year-old hurt against me, they're not seeing that. Every time I'm sitting in front of one of these things, sharing that, there's this additional level of pain as additional level of pain for that person, because I'm the same person that falsely accused them of stealing, or other examples of that. But in this particular case, in this example, I'm talking about this person. Anyway, so I call, so I have this conversation, and it's clear that there was nothing. I don't know what you mean by that. They were confused as well, because the standard conversation would have been, I'm sorry about what I did.
Right.
But I specifically said I wasn't doing that. But when I asked and said, is there some way to make it right? That was confusing, because it was clear that he'd never thought in that framework. What do you mean, how can you make it right? Are you going to change the past or something else? So as we were talking, it was clear that there was still some anger there. And because there was anger, there was emotion, there was a lot more memory around the details that I didn't have.
For this person.
For this person.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, down to like by the color of the shirt I was wearing when I did it. I mean, like there were specific details that were present for the person because of how much emotion it still carried for them. And like I said, these type of things that I did only served to heighten that. It was a reminder that I'm the same person who, and we were somewhat in the same circles, and you know, their wife had known me at that point. They weren't married. Their wife had known me, and then my name had come up a few times. And anyway, as I was talking, he started going into details, like breaking it down for me, like what this was really about and what really happened and what else that had nothing to do with that, just from working from where then they didn't appreciate and didn't enjoy. And at the end of the conversation, I said to them, I said, you know, what seems to me is that you didn't feel appreciated by me at all, which actually, well, I did appreciate you. I had this one incident, but the one incident where I accused you of that, but I knew shortly thereafter it wasn't the case. And prior to that, I had a very good experience with you. And my association with you has always been as good work ethic, good, you know, someone who worked hard, someone who did their job. It's like, really? You thought that way? I was like, yeah. He says, why didn't you ever express that? And maybe this is similar to another discussion on goodbye. And I guess I'm getting a lot of these messages in this way, which is ironic because I'm sitting here communicating, and maybe I need to, and I'm getting a lot of lessons about improved communication, like saying goodbye, and in this case, expressing appreciation. And where I left that conversation with, what I left that conversation with was that that's an area that I can improve, just to express appreciation better. Meaning if I'm feeling it, to express it, not just to express appreciation. Again, that's like as stupid as saying sorry. It's to express appreciation when the feeling of appreciation is being felt. And that's why I just ended the conversation on that and said, okay, you taught me that, and it's something I can do a better job of, and I'm doing it now with you for then.
Right.
And every time I remember it because of this conversation, I will do it with you in mind. So there was a lot I got from that conversation that would not have happened if I just said, I'm sorry.
What do you mean? What did you, yeah.
If there was a standard, that's why I want to talk about this. That's why I think it's a big topic, because it's, in society, that's the way we do things. Something goes wrong and we call and we say, I'm sorry. And then that ends that.
Right.
And I feel like I've done something. He has to feel like I did something and has to let it go. Nothing has been let go.
Right.
But now they can't.
You got to let it go.
You got to let it go. They said, I'm sorry.
Right.
What more do you want?
Right.
There's so many other things, but we've been programmed in such a way to assume sorry is meaningful for the person who does it. Sorry is meant to be meaningful for the person who receives it. And had I gone with that programming, which was deprogrammed through the 12 steps, tell me making amends is the right way. But more important than deprogramming from the 12 steps was just deprogramming from the concept of programming. In other words, understanding that because we can always be programmed, we have to be open-minded enough with our ideas not to allow any of them to become us too much. So I didn't replace sorry with making amends. Because if sorry becomes replaced with making amends, then I had nothing more to do in that conversation, because the person said I can't make amends. There's nothing I can do to make it right. But that wasn't either the way, because there was nothing I can do to make it right. There was a way, but it wasn't expressed by the person. And what needed to be expressed was the conversation and me hearing those details and learning something from it. And I mean, that's all. That's the message, is that there's, because of the way we are conditioned to deal with the hurt we've imposed on others, we miss out on a lot of opportunities. That's all. Besides for not making it right, we also, like, this was an awesome learning experience about myself, meaning we pay people, literally pay people for feedback about ourselves. We go to therapy, we go to coaches, we go to trainers, and we say, watch me and tell me what I'm doing wrong. But they can't watch you. They can't, because they're seeing you at your best. The trainer is not there in your house at 3 a.m. when you're pigging out your refrigerator. The trainer is there when you're in your
You're trying.
Lululemon shorts.
Right. Doing your reps.
Right, doing your reps. And they give you small corrections. But your employee is there when you're pissed off and tired and have let your guard down and you're showing that. And now they're telling you, they're giving you the feedback. They're giving you amazing feedback.
So was it the 12 steps in getting the program that kind of made you change your perspective on sorry being meaningless, or did you kind of always feel like this?
I have to assume we all feel, let me ask you that question. I have to assume we all feel like this. Meaning, when I heard this idea from my sponsor, it wasn't met with massive resistance. Like, what are you talking about? Sorry does everything.
Right. Feels like actions,
like you said, the truth.
Actions over words. Like proof. Yeah.
It's the truth. It's the truth. It doesn't do anything. I don't care that you're sorry. It doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't. It's meant to, because someone conditioned us to think it is. But it's almost worse. Hey, I'm sorry about what happened yesterday. How do I know they're really sorry? I don't care if they're really sorry. None of that does anything. The whole framework is incorrect. So what I'm saying is, when I share it with you, what do you think?
It lands. I mean, because I think it just in some of the relationships I've had over the years where, I might not have been in the best place in my life or whatever the case is, and I messed up a lot and whatever. And I said sorry a lot, because that was kind of all I had in my toolkit, I guess, or it was my go-to. And it got to a point where, like, it really literally meant nothing, because I've said it so many times, and either A, nothing's changed after, or B, it didn't resolve the issue to begin with.
Ironically, it didn't even mean that you were sorry.
Yeah.
Because you weren't.
Right. It became, exactly that. Like, I'm not sorry. That's why I'm saying I'm sorry. Yeah. That one lands.
Right. So what would someone do if they were sorry?
I think sorry is, I think a couple of things, right? One, it's the severity of what you're saying sorry for has some weight, in my opinion. Meaning, like, an honest mistake and you apologize for, I could see sorry as being sufficient. My perspective. So
Give me an example.
You bump into someone and spill their wine.
You're not sorry.
I'm not sorry?
No.
What do you mean I'm not sorry?
You want to be pardoned by them, but you're not sorry. I'm not saying, like, I'm so sorry I accidentally opened the door into someone. That's not the feeling I'm feeling. I'm not sorry at all.
I bump you. I spill your wine.
You're not sorry.
What do I do in that moment?
Excuse me. It wasn't intentional.
All over your shirt.
What does the word sorry mean?
Right? What does it mean?
It's like deep remorse. Deep remorse. I didn't do it on purpose.
I hear you.
Excuse me. Pardon me for doing that.
So you're saying we got to be more honest
if I'm
with what we mean.
If I'm understanding the situation, I'm walking and you're walking and we bump into each other. The wine spilled. Okay, it spilled on my shirt, but it could have just easily spilled on your shirt.
Right.
I'm not sorry. You're not sorry.
Right.
Excuse me. Excuse you.
I hear you. So you're saying be more honest in a lot of ways.
I mean, are you sorry?
One way of looking, I don't know. It's like, I was walking here first.
Do you have deep remorse for bumping that person?
No, it's not the end of the world.
If you poured the wine on their shirt,
right,
intentionally,
then there's no way I can be sorry because I did it intentionally.
Or let's say you were,
right,
it wouldn't be enough.
Right.
No one would care.
Got to replace your shirt.
At least. I don't know what you're doing about the fact that, like, you're the kind of guy who can do that.
Right. No, but I'm wondering if what you're saying, and I hear it, and it's definitely, it lands. It lands. I think it's, part of it is just, like, just that conditioning of not being honest on every level, right? Like, you're not sorry. You're not really sorry. And, like, that's been been kind of like covered up with words like sorry or, I won't do it again, versus like, no, how do you make it right? How do you make amends? Or how do you like, what can you actually do to fix it? Right? Meaning,
So maybe this is a good way of saying it. So if someone was truly sorry, if they felt deep remorse for doing X, Y, and Z, okay. I mean, in my case, infidelity, right? I didn't always feel sorry, but there was a time where I felt very, very deep remorse for hurting another person like that, hurting my wife like that, for sure. But walking over to her and telling her, I'm sorry.
Right. That doesn't.
Nothing. You know, one way of saying this maybe is, okay, you're sorry. Show, don't tell.
Right. You hear that all the time.
Show, don't tell.
That's what happened in my case.
Show you're sorry. Yeah. Don't say you're sorry.
I became the chief of sorries.
Saying sorry.
Yeah, saying sorry.
Not showing sorry.
You want a sorry, I got it. Every type, shape, size, whatever you need. I'm the sorry guy. And yeah, it got to the point where it meant nothing and it literally was almost like offensive.
At some point, did you actually become sorry?
At some point I did, but definitely I can remember, like I can recall certain situations, certain times I've used the word sorry or I'm sorry. And it was like, I really don't even mean this right now.
Can you think of a time that you've meant it sincerely?
Yeah, disappointing my kid, breaking a promise.
You were sorry?
For sure.
So what
going back to kids being teachers, like in that moment, it got to be real. It got to be honest. I can't cover it up,
So what'd you do?
I fixed it.
Oh.
Looking for ice cream. Made it up. And then now it's like on the front of my mind, like when I make promises that like feel a certain way, not like, whatever, like I'll give you extra time, but like, we're going to go somewhere. Like it's become like this thing now. Like I understand the severity of what I'm saying and the impact if I break this promise.
It changed you.
Changed fundamentally.
You. Right.
Now, like I'm even more cautious of what I make promises on.
Right.
Whereas before I would probably just throw them out.
Because you were truly sorry.
Because I was truly sorry. Yeah, for sure.
Did you say the words "I'm sorry" or did you take him for ice cream?
Yeah, took him for ice cream. Got you. Let me make it up. Right. And he's gonna hear this. He's probably gonna make like a little list. Like, no, for sure. Yeah, no, it changed me. And yeah, I think I'm on board with that. I'm on board with sorry not being much of any value. I can get with that.
Right. Showing, don't telling. I do want to, because something came up, a conversation about programming and deprogramming and all of that. I think that it's important that we talk about it. Are you of the belief at this point that everything is programming? Like we are constantly being programmed?
To some degree, yeah.
This is a program where we're attempting to program someone in a different way or deprogram them in a
to some degree. If not everything is programmed, there's certainly guidelines that like we kind of all adhere to almost unconsciously. Right? So if you want to get a message out, you have to do this. Right?
You're in marketing, right? So if you're conveying a message in a certain way, you're trying to program them, maybe.
Yeah, there's certain
association.
Yeah, there's certain terms in marketing too, where like the customer doesn't know what they want. You tell them what they want. So yeah, definitely there's always some hand at play to condition us to be acceptive or rejective of any one particular thing or situation, for sure. Like monogamy, like social abnormalities, meaning like promiscuous for women, for example. Like, that's a no, like don't do it.
But there is a difference between promiscuousness for women and
why?
And
why?
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 If you wanted to sleep with 10 women today, how hard would you have to work?
It could mean in the process, but why is it looked at differently?
I'll tell you why. Because if you had to sleep with a woman today, how hard would you have to work? 10 women today. Attractive
Some
ones.
effort.
Okay.
Yeah. Harder. The better they look, the harder I got to try.
Exactly. And if a woman wanted to sleep with 10 men today, how hard would she have to work?
Just turn on the open sign, the light. Yeah, just say.
So why should I be why should I be impressed by one like the other? It's a different game we're playing. It's not. That's not a double standard. That's the standard. We're going to respect what's hard to achieve, and we're not going to respect what's easy to achieve. I don't.
So what do you say to people that think like that should be looked at as the same?
They're wrong. They're 100% wrong. It's not the same. Right? If it was the same, I'd be walking into a club, and girls would be buying me bottles.
Right.
It's the same, right?
But it's not.
But it's not. It's not at all the same. It's a completely different. Meaning, what it demonstrates about a man that he is able to do that. Forget the morality and ethics of it. I'm just saying the work that was put in, the skill that had to be
the 1 + 1,
the effort.
Right.
It says something about this person. So yeah, I don't think it's a double standard. I think there could be something you're saying, let's say, where there's this unspoken suggestion that either suggestion that it is this way or it should be this way, that men enjoy sex more than women. Something like that. That's a double standard.
I agree 100% with that.
But not that one is considered promiscuous and one is considered the man, because one is promiscuous and one is the man. The man in the sense that he put in a tremendous amount of effort to make that happen, and the woman didn't.
Right.
Really didn't.
No, for sure. And then the apologies, right? The saying "I'm sorry" looks completely different also for a man and a woman that are both promiscuous, quote unquote. Do you think, or no?
This is a different conversation,
right? How does it look with a promiscuous man, if that's even a possible thing, right? Says "I'm sorry for being promiscuous" versus a woman saying "I'm sorry for being promiscuous."
Right. Let's not use the word promiscuous because that's a judgment. Let's just talk about the act, right? So, if that's okay.
It's your show.
No, I just because
no, I hear you. I'm messing. Yeah, go ahead.
Because once you use a word like promiscuous,
I hear you.
Right,
yeah.
You're saying something about it versus
right.
defining it, describing it, what happened.
Right.
I don't know. I'm not sure where I stand on it today, but I don't know that I'd ever be able to come back from being cheated on. I'm not sure. Now, obviously, in terms of ideal, yeah, I'd like to say I would be able to, but I'm not 100% sure.
Why is that?
That I could.
Because I'm sure
I don't know if that's a distinction between man and woman. I don't know if that's a distinction between, let's say, me and
like personality
and my wife. I do want to say, for her sake, because I know this is important to her, for her own self-respect, that the infidelity didn't happen when we were married. It was before we were married. So out of respect for her and that, I'm saying it. But
and we're not even talking about you necessarily, just
right.
Insert.
In general, I mean, I do find that women are able to overcome that easier than men overcome that. I remember speaking to a relative of mine who was in his late 80s, and his wife cheated on him in his 50s. And he was remarried now. And the hurt when he mentioned it was as fresh as anything I've seen anyone describe. And it didn't feel crazy to me. It felt like this is probably what most men feel like who are cheated on years later. I think it's different. Maybe men and women
are different in this ego, regard. You think? A man's ego versus a woman's ego? Because on the surface, that's what it feels like to me when I think about it.
Maybe.
Like I can't come back from that because are you crazy?
Maybe.
And how does saying sorry in that situation work, right? Like,
we spoke about the conversation about animal, man, angel.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we'll go here, even though I haven't formulated this idea perfectly, but we'll
do it. Those are the best ones.
We'll just go. So, right, we're all a combination of all three at any given time. So it's meaning even when we're at animal, let's say at once we become an adult, we're an animal. There's a part of us that has free choice, 100% free choice in a certain area, right? This area is not. We haven't been affected by, we haven't been tarnished. I don't have guilt in this area. This is something that I can do as a human with free, full choice. And then there's a part of us that is a little angelic to all of us. Okay, so let's call it, I don't know, 99% animal, 0.9% human, and 0.1% angel. Okay. That's where it's starting. And the goal is to ascend and become all of that. I think women start out with a different constitution than men in this regard. Less animal, more angel.
Why?
Why is because I think that's the balance we need as men. Like the separation that happened. Right? Woman was separated from man in the story, right? Adam and Eve. So man needed something from woman in order to ascend to who he needed to become. And I think what he needed from woman was the vision of you can be an angel. He needed someone has one foot in that world and saying you are not an animal. I saw a meme the other day where it had a Hulk-looking guy with a woman, and then like 5 different stages of eventually the Hulk gets less and less green and more person. And it said every man needs a woman to tame the beast within. I think that a woman is able to do that for a man. Like men are more animal, women are more angel. One definition of an angel, if uses, they can see more. They can see what's not there. They can see the future. They can envision things. And I think women, certainly my wife did that for me. I resented her for a long time for it, where she saw me for what I wasn't. And there was, I think like her strength was in saying, I know you are not this. I know you are not the animal that you are acting like. But at the same point in time, I'm not okay with you acting that way. So there was that boundary of this isn't okay for me, but the strength of, but I can handle it as long as we both know where this is going. Like that beast is going to be tamed. And I think what the woman does, I want to say what a woman does. Let me not say that because I haven't spoken to enough people. I think what my wife did for me, let me backtrack on this whole thing. I am more animal, less human, less angel. My wife is more angel, human, and less animal. And part of that angelic quality is the ability to see. And then they see what we can be. Your wife most likely did this for you.
100%.
Okay, so now we have 2 people. Okay.
Right. 2 angels.
See, she saw it. So she believes it. Seeing is believing. She saw it, so now she believes it. She saw the future, that this is possible for you. You can become the man you are today. Your wife saw that before you did it. Before. You didn't believe it. Right. I didn't believe it. I resisted even the suggestion of it because the suggestion of it was that I'm more wrong now because this is somehow controllable. I didn't want to believe that. But at other points in time, I really needed to believe that because I didn't want to be an animal. And I saw her as someone who believed it, and then I slowly began to believe it.
Yeah.
So in that way, there's more angel. And if I can go even further on this, I don't think women have free choice in the same way that men have free choice.
Well, you gotta speak on that. What does that mean? What does that mean?
So I said earlier that an animal,
right?
An animal has no free choice.
Right.
An angel also has no free choice.
Right.
The only reason the human has free choice, what makes a human is having free choice. An animal has no free choice. An angel has no free choice. A human is the one who has free choice, and then can descend into the animal, can ascend into the angel. Right? That's the contract. That's a man who can do that. But a man starts off as not having free choice because of its animal qualities, and then a woman has certain angelic qualities that don't enable them to have free choice. This is what I believe, and I'll tell you what I mean. At least with my wife. A man, I think, has a choice whether or not to stay involved in the child's life.
That's a good point.
A mother doesn't.
That's a great example, actually.
Mother doesn't. And there's probably other examples of this also, where women don't quite have the same level of free choice that a man does. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's designed in this way because that's what helps the animal and the man become worked out and become human, which is what the point of the whole thing is. So then that God has a bunch of angels walking on earth.
I hear you.
Angels with free choice, not angels that are just singing songs because they have
Right.
no other choice to. They're programmed only in that way.
Yeah, I hear that. And I think, though, there's some moms that are not in their kids' lives. But it certainly takes more of an effort, going back to the point of man and woman. And the guy wanted to...
Do you have an example of a woman who's not in their kid's life?
I mean, to protect people's identity. There's people in my family.
I'm saying there's
women
right
that have done this. Yeah.
Right. And do you know like what happened there? I'm curious.
What happened and why?
Yeah. Were they forced not to?
They're selfish. They were just caught up.
Just
in their
walked
own
out.
thing. Mm-hmm. Made a decision like, yo, or it's too much for me. You do it. I can't do it.
I hear that.
So there's a choice there. But to your point, I think it's...
With your wife, do you feel like she has that same choice?
No.
Do you feel like you can get to a place where, not that you would ever want to, right? You're choosing your kids, but that you can get to a place where you would say, if I decide not to be in my kid's life, I can make that decision.
Can I get to that point?
Yeah. As a choice.
Not that I want to.
Not that you want to. Quite the opposite. That's you don't want to. That's why you're doing it. Meaning you're not doing it because you're compelled to. You're doing it because you choose to.
Right. Yeah.
Which is what your kids want to hear anyway.
Right. Yeah, I think I can. I get what you're saying. I don't think it exists for my wife either. Like, meaning that that doesn't exist for my wife. Like, there's no way she's not in their lives forever and ever, permanent. There's no version of any
same
universe.
Same thing.
Right.
I'm not saying that it can't happen. I'm not saying that it can't happen. There's just something very unnatural about that state.
Right.
Something very, very, very unnatural about that state. Anyway, this was an idea that was not completely thought out, but something that I've been playing with. Where did this conversation start?
We started at sorry.
And
how your perspective is we need to eradicate sorry, because what does it mean? So, and then we just kind of went off, which is cool. Now, bring it back. Tie it back in.
Tie all of this together.
Yeah.
The sorry, the programming, the free choice, the woman, the man. To my wife, I am sorry if I said anything on this episode that was inappropriate. I'm sorry if I embarrassed you, me, or the family. How can I make it right?
Amen.
There we go.